I think it is time now to talk about our movie. This is going to be the one that gets us canceled. We're talking about the classic, the one that makes you feel warm inside, even though they're made of felt and pipe cleaners. The 1964 Rankin Bass stop motion masterpiece, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know that one. It's the one that Burl Ives sings like your grandpa after 2 eggnogs. You got Hermie, a dentist elf with career goals, and a reindeer whose nose glows like a radioactive cherry. This thing's been running every year since LBJ was in office. That's crazy.
Classic.
So Rudolph, though, himself didn't come around until 1939 when we had a pamphlet basically come out of him to promote some stuff. So who was leading Santa's sleigh before 1939? Was he just flying blind every night or what?
I mean, there just wasn't bad weather. That wasn't a thing. So I guess they were fine on those other nights.
That makes way more sense to me. That
Maybe.
that we didn't need it. There was no global warming hadn't come up. We hadn't got any of that stuff going on yet, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
When
the
the world was
inversion.
pure.
Inversion is pretty bad. So gotta have Rudolph
Back
for
when
that.
Back when the world was pure, you know, like, and then 1939 hit, and they were like, oh, got to have some lights in the sky, got to have a red nose. So they came up with Rudolph, but the movie, the Rankin Bass movie here, didn't come out till 1964.
Yeah, and
What were you
imagine those stop action movies back then, all of the work that they had to put in. They didn't have the technology we have now to kind of shortcut some of those transitions or smooth out some of those, between frames. And I love, there's some guys on social media that have become popular that they can interact, they can do impressions of stop action, and it looks so realistic. Like my dad was watching the other one, Santa Claus Comes to Town, stop action, movie, and I was kind of laughing at it because it isn't quite the quality that Rudolph is. And the mouth movements were so not in sync with what they were talking about. It was like,
oh yeah, you
kind of like an old Godzilla movie.
That's what I'm gonna say. You change the music stuff, this turns into a horror movie real quick. It's scary. It's terrifying. I think one of the reasons why it does look like that, where it's jerky and even more stop motion-y than stop motion itself, is because Rankin Bass, when they put this bad boy together, tried to save some money. I mean, they didn't have much money.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know how much it cost to put stop motion together. It's expensive now. It's probably expensive back then. Yeah. So what they did, instead of doing one scene and then move the puppet, they did 2 scenes, 2 frames before they moved the puppet instead of 1 frame. So it makes it that little jerky motion.
Choppy. Yeah.
It gives it that Rankin Bass look, which basically they become the Marvel Cinematic Universe of the Christmas specials, because they had Frosty the Snowman, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, like you mentioned, and about 47 other stop motion fever dreams.
Yep.
That's why Santa looks like Play-Doh in most of our childhood memories, because we watched these shows right here.
Right.
We saw this. Yeah. It really is. So, yeah, but I love the
classic
puppets. And the puppets themselves were made in Japan, and they were only about 4 to 8 inches tall, which is even wilder to me.
Could have been about this size.
That might. Do you have one? Because I think somebody did find these in the attic not that long ago, and they went to auction or something. And I don't know if there's a anonymous buyer out there, or maybe they're at NBC Rockefeller now. But they found these puppets and redid them because they were in rough shape. One of the ladies that worked at Rankin Bass back in the 60s tucked them away in her attic. So that was wild too. I love that. Yeah.
That would be amazing to find. I wouldn't probably pay a lot of money myself for them, but I do appreciate the antiquity of having the original puppets from the movie.
Now show me that Yukon Cornelius again, because I want to see what kind of weapon does he have. Does he have a gun or a knife on him?
This one's a knife.
Well, in the show, it's a gun. He asked for gunpowder specifically, and around somewhere in the 1990s, mid to late 90s, all toys that came out from this movie afterwards replaced that gun with a knife. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I bought these when I was a teenager, so it was probably the 2000s, but I maybe no, it was probably after 2000. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that makes sense. But I think about, toys and the debate between guns and not guns and historically accurate. We have, my kids have some pistols that are kind of from the Wild West toys that they play with
Oh yeah.
and stuff. And I mean, we don't think anything of it when we see a movie from the 50s and there's little boys running around going, "Pru, pru, 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 pru."
The
And
little
now
cap guns and all that.
we're a little bit traumatized as a country when it comes to gun safety. So I think there's a little different vibe from the generations that have come from that. And we're like, maybe not gun toys. Maybe not.
No, I get it. I get it. Then again, you got games like Call of Duty and everything else out there, and people bragging about the KD. So why can't we put a gun on Yukon Cornelius?
Yeah, probably more
Ah,
historically accurate to have a gun for sure.
probably.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
I cannot, I would not even be able to recall the first time because it was an absolute staple in our household from before I can remember. And we had the
Yeah.
VHS and it had the little thing that started in the beginning, the 80s VHS type thing where there was the F and the H and the E. I don't remember what came up. It was like, this is like from before I could read. So I can just see it in my mind as to what I'm recalling, that little warped
Oh yeah.
sound that came up in the beginning because our VHS was probably just a little worn from watching it so much. But yeah, I couldn't even possibly tell you the very first time I watched it. We've watched it every year. I even just put it in the DVD player for my kids today, and we could probably find it streaming somewhere, but I'm like, we have it right here. I'll just pop it in the good old DVD player, the Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray. I think I even own it on Amazon Prime. I've got multiple copies of this movie. But you know what's different is probably each copy of the movie, because at different times over the years, certain parts of this movie have been taken out. They've been replaced. They've been dubbed over. They've been put back in. They got even sponsored at one time. Like General Electric was promoting themselves within this. So I don't mind having multiple copies because you never really know which one you got. Like seriously, I think last year they might have finally put 2024. I think NBC got it back last year, and on Peacock they put the unedited original, the way it was, 1964 version. So you may have 8 copies and 8 different versions of this movie, which is wild.
Interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting to do a comparison and see what version that I have on the DVD versus what's out there streaming now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is one of those that I can't pinpoint the first time I saw it either. I just know I've seen it 100 dozen times and remember every part of it. I can't be like, oh, I watched it when I was 4 years old. No, it's been on at the house every year, wherever I was. It's a staple. It's here.
But let me ask you this, because you can't always recall memories and your consciousness bring up exactly the moment you saw it first. But I want to know, what does young Blane go back to when you early days of watching it? What feelings come up when you watched it? What did you feel?
Oh, I knew it was Christmas time. Like this was one that set it off for me. This was before Christmas Vacation, probably as an adult, So this was my reset. It was the all right, baby Blaine's in Christmas mode now. Santa's coming soon. It's going to get cold. I loved it. And I think they used to show it like December 1st every year or on Thanksgiving weekend or somewhere in there. So it did flip that switch for a young Blane. And then to me, I think the noise that his nose makes is always going to be there.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's because it's annoying as hell, as my wife would say. She hates that noise. She won't watch it. She won't watch Rudolph because of that noise. No,
I get it.
I think that noise and Yukon Cornelius and being a fan of the Abominable Bumble, like I loved every aspect, and the misfit toys. Who didn't feel like a misfit at some point in their life, you know?
Absolutely. Oh
So
my gosh, let's get
all
into
of
it
that.
because there's a lot of stuff about those misfit toys. I have some thoughts. When you talked about kind of a fever dream, that's what I think of
Yeah,
because as an adult, I look back on it and go, yeah, that's all a little weird. But I think even as a kid, I remember watching it and going, why is there a flying lion that is
yeah.
in charge or king of the misfit toys? Why? What's the connection there? I'm not sure I see it. I'm not sure I understand it. But as a kid, you kind of throw that stuff to the side and you kind of go, this is fun. What a fun
Yeah.
idea to have a lion that flies. Why not? Give all the animals wings. Give me wings. I want everybody to have wings. It's awesome.
Yeah, they all get wings at the end, don't they? Most
Sure.
of them.
Some people are flying.
Actually, that's true. And that scene at the end where they do get stuff was not in the original that came out. It was after a bunch of fan hate mail. Let's say this was before, Twitter. You could go on there and raise hell on Twitter. They had to write these letters and mail them in and say, hey, what happened to the misfits? They didn't even write them in the original. So they added a scene.
We need this story to come full circle, right? We need to see that those misfit toys are taken care of and that they're not actually misfits and they're loved, right?
Exactly. But they left that out. But literally, they got piles of mail from people who were mad. They were like, you got to take care of the misfits. And then they get the presents at the end, added the scene the next year. I think it ran 1 year without that scene.
Can you imagine it without it? I can't. I think that would be ridiculous. You'd be like, wait, so they promised to go get the misfit toys, didn't they? What happened?
And then abandoning them, like,
we never got to see that. That would be incredible.
And it's hard for us. We can't imagine not seeing that scene because we've seen this scene now. We know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that would have left a little hole in your heart and been like, what the hell, Rankin Bass?
Yeah.
I'm a misfit. Where's my,
Yeah.
So yeah, they added that thing later. I do love the misfits.
Talking about the misfit toys, I have to bring up the doll because I was watching, a bunch of things about this doll. And I remembered actually having that thought as a kid that, you have this boat that doesn't float and you have this choo-choo train with square wheels and everybody has a little bit of a something that's not quite right, and then you have this doll and she's like, I'm a doll named Sue, or and you go, I remember thinking as a kid, is it her name? Is it because dolls are called something else and she's called Sue? Is it not right or something? What's with this doll? And somebody asked Arthur Rankin, the co-created the movie, what's up with the doll? Why is she there on the island of misfit toys? And his answer was, well, you can't always see what's wrong because she's clinically depressed.
Oh. Now see, who doesn't have a little depression during the holidays,
She's representing those of us who just, you can't always see everything that's going on under the surface. And do we love her more for that? I think we do.
But that's awesome though, because a lot of this characters and a lot of other stuff going on here did have a backstory. They just didn't ever get to it.
Yeah.
Yukon Cornelius is actually looking for the peppermint mines. That's why he flips his axe up, it hits the ground, and he licks it. He's not tasting silver and gold. That's peppermint is what he's looking for. And that's why he says, nothing here. So we don't know about a lot of this stuff going on because they didn't put the backstory in. I do think that some of the later on, when I mentioned 47 other basically stop motion animations in here, they do start talking about some of this backstory, but it didn't happen in the original. So what do you got there? Yukon Cornelius again? I love that one.
Fun. Yeah, my cousin just got a new dog this last year, and he named him Yukon. And he kind of has red curly hair. I mean, it's a little like a golden doodle, so it's a little golden, but kind of a reddish, hue to it. And so he came to visit. We were like, oh, that's so cool. Did you name him after Yukon Cornelius? And no joke, my cousin was like, who's that? I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Disappointing. That is disappointing.
I'm like, It's too perfect. Are you serious? You did not name him after Yukon Cornelius? So we had to explain who that is, but he was naming him after a town in Idaho. So, oh well.
Here I
Opportunity
am
there.
thinking Rudolph's got a bigger cultural impact
Yeah.
that could at least touch somebody in Idaho, but man,
Yeah.
I
Guess
can't
not.
believe that.
Not this time, but it's perfect. And now I've challenged him to go watch it. I'm like, your dog is named after Yukon Cornelius. You just don't know it. And you're going to go watch it and you're going to see what I mean. So it's all fine. But I love the overall theme that this movie presents, especially with the misfit toys, but with Rudolph himself. And I think going back to what is the feeling we had when watching it, I absolutely related to the feeling of Rudolph disappointing his dad and his dad wanting to hide the nose. And I may have been a very ultra sensitive kid. I don't know if anyone else out there was as sensitive as me or if you can relate. But I remember the scene in the beginning when, first of all, Santa, what a jerk, is like, you better cover that up or fix that. That is a mistake if I've ever seen one. His nose glows red. Do something about this. It's an embarrassment, right? So Donner is over there trying to tell his son to like cover it up. You just need to fit in. You know, there's obviously something wrong with you. And my little sensitive young Coco self, it was like, how awful. He has this beautiful nose that glows that he should be proud of and he should love about himself. And everybody's telling him to hide it and not be himself. And same thing with Herbie and being a dentist. You're like, there's got to be a reason for a dentist to be in the North Pole. Can we not accept him for who he is?
Yeah. You know, I got to talk about this because every year somebody writes an article saying Rudolph promotes bullying. It's a reindeer story, not a TED Talk. If you're looking for moral perfection, maybe don't start with a show where the hero's nose is basically a biological flashlight.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I
don't
don't
do it that way.
It promotes bullying. I think it shows how awful bullying can be. That you could be bullied by your own dad and you can still come out on top in the end and show that you are worth something and you were meant to be exactly who you are for a reason. And I think that's a beautiful message for anybody to hear, right?
It is, absolutely. And Rudolph's dad, by the way, we find out Donner, so it's Rudolph. Donner is his last name, I guess. He sired Rudolph.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's so what is Donner and Donder? What is
Yeah, let's talk about that Donner versus Donder debate. I've always wondered because in the original poem, where the deer are actually named for the first time, came out in 1823, the night before Christmas, and it was originally Donder, which means thunder in Dutch, right? And it was changed later. So in the original poem, it was Dunder and Bliksem.
Okay.
So a little bit different. And then later it was changed to Donder with Donner, which is German for thunder. And then we have 1844, the poem was changed. We see the first time that it was adapted and changed into Donner. And then 1949, the Rudolph song came out. So then it was
Gene Autry, the Gene Autry track. That's the one that really put this thing on the map, I believe.
Right.
It, like we already said, it'd been around 1939. 1823, we got you said that piece of work there. I mean,
poem where they were given names. So it's interesting because I've heard people get kind of uppity about it, like really just be like, hey, actually it's Donder. And I've done that myself. I've been like, did you know that it was originally Donder? Isn't that interesting? Because we always say Donner when we sing the songs and stuff, right? But I kind of feel like because it was changed and adapted and because it actually means the same thing in German and Dutch, Donder in Dutch, Donner in German means the same thing. I kind of feel like you can claim it as both. I don't think there is a right or a wrong way to do it. So let's release all obligation we have for saying it one way or the other. It's both. It's all the things.
At least it's reindeer and it's not the Icelandic Yule lads. You know, those guys. They're up to no good all the time. Like,
They should
it
make
could
a
be worse,
claymation
right?
movie about the Yule lads. I would pay to see that in the theater. That would be
You
amazing.
know, the only people that could do that would be A24 and Guillermo del Toro. I think that'd be the best. That'd be a terrifying movie, would it not?
Amazing. I love that
I
idea.
want to
I
see
think
that.
they'd be perfect for it.
I'd
Yeah,
love to see that.
it would be amazing.
What
Well,
else you got to say? Yeah, go ahead.
I will say, and maybe this is my final thought. We'll see. But my one thing to say about going back to Donner being his dad, Rudolph's dad, and happy to see that in the end he realizes he was wrong and he was sorry about how he treated Rudolph. All good things. I never loved, even as a little kid, that the female deer takes sort of a backseat. You know, the does, and they're over there just kind of like being those big eyelashes batting, you know, ooh. Come to find out, did you know that the male reindeer lose their antlers in the wintertime?
Oh, did not?
Guess which reindeer keep their antlers through the winter?
A female.
Female. So in all reality, if we're talking about Santa's reindeer, and I told my kids this, all those names that you hear listed off in the Night Before Christmas poem, in the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song, all those songs, you can just go ahead and rewrite that in your head as all female, which changes this movie considerably. I mean, then it's not Donner the dad, it's Donner the mom.
That's true. So now we're going to get people all up in arms about this now, huh? You're going to get us hate mail because we...
Fight me about it. This is one I'm sticking in.
I love that take right there. I guess this will be my final take on this. And this probably be what gets me canceled. Not you.
It's getting us canceled. All of it.
Not you, but just me at least. But let me tell you something they don't teach you in elf school, all right?
All right.
You think this Rudolph story is just cute and all. No, wrong. It is dripping with subversive undertones. Let me get into them. First off, we got an entire workforce of elves cranking out toys for free.
Yep.
Free. No wages, no benefits, no dental plan, except for Hermie, who's trying to unionize, like I said earlier, the place by becoming a dentist. That's collectivism. Santa's running a command economy up there. He decides who gets the toys, who doesn't. If you're on the naughty list, guess what? Shit out of luck. You're basically in the gulag of Christmas. Don't even get me started on the island of misfit toys. It's not a cute subplot. That's Siberia with candy canes.
Mm-hmm.
Toys that don't conform to the perfect capitalist ideal get shipped off to an island where they sit around waiting a 5-year rescue plan. Nah, that's not going to happen here on the Isle of Misfits. Meanwhile, you got Yukon Cornelius out there prospecting for silver and gold like the last capitalist holdout in a sea of red. Communism, right? So
Right.
Rudolph isn't just about a glowing nose. It's the struggle between individuality and the crushing weight of the North Pole. Next time you watch it, remember Santa's sleigh runs on redistribution and the Bumble. He's just a proletariat uprising, ho, 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 comrades. It's a Russian propaganda film. That's what it is. No, I love this movie. I do.
I was going to say, after the rant, I'm like, listen, all of that, totally right. I'm not going to argue any of those points. And also, we love this movie and it's nostalgic and it's great. So
Love
this
this
is
movie.
a good example of two things can be true at the same time. We love it.
Very
And that-
much. Bert Ives, didn't even mention him, but as soon as I see him,
Yeah.
all these thoughts about what I just said with the Russia and, you know, seeing it goes away. When I see Bert Ives and hear him as a snowman, over for me. But we do love this movie.
It's my favorite.
I've been holding that in for years. I almost went off on that rant years ago, but I've been holding that in for years. So I'm glad I finally got it off my
Your
chest.
mic. Yeah, you have the mic. You get to say the things. That's how it works around here.
Very much. We're going to do another show, I guess, before Christmas, probably. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. If we're not canceled. If we're not canceled from this one, we'll be
Who's
back.
coming
I
for
promise
us?
we'll be back. Yeah.
Where are
We'll
you
see
at?
you guys right here.